Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. It means a lot to me that you take the time to listen. Please subscribe if you haven't already and click on that thumbs up button. Well, the Pistons did it. They got Duncan Robinson. So now we've got hail to the victors. We got two Michigan players, Karis LeVert we signed, and then now we got Duncan Robinson. We got Duncan Robinson just minutes ago in a sign and trade. We traded Simone Fontecchio. I loved him, but it wasn't realistic that he was going to really get the chance, or he struggled last year. So yeah, so they traded him to Miami for Duncan Robinson. And so we signed Duncan Robinson, 3 years, $48 million. He's 6'7". He's 31 years old. It's hard for me to believe that he's 31 years old. I went to a coaching clinic when he just transferred to Michigan. He came from a Division III school, so he's worked his way up. But he is a fabulous movement shooter. He can make, again, there's guys that shoot threes and there's guys that make tough threes. He is an incredible shooter that can make tough threes. Off movement, he could be running straight away from the basket, and a guy can be on him, and he can elevate and stick it, and at a high percentage consistently throughout his whole career. So he is one of the elite shooters in the NBA. I've noticed his playmaking has gotten better, his passing has gotten better, and he works hard on defense. Obviously, he's not a great defender; otherwise, he'd still be playing in Miami. But we needed shooting. We lost a lot of 3-point buckets. We had Beasley made 319, Schroder made 127, and Tim Hardadaway made 168. So we lost a lot of threes from what we made last year. So now we got him, and it will be interesting to see how he gets worked into the lineup. So that's going to be an intriguing thing to me, because I'm going to tell you this. I'm disappointed. I was hoping to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and I was hoping to get Jake LaRavia or Saldi Adama or some of those guys, and we knew that we might have to settle in, and then. But the main thing is about our season, we can never lose sight of this. We get to watch Cade, Parker Cunningham, Asar Thompson, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, Stu, and Holland, and I'm so excited to see how much better they are. So those guys are key players. So when we get all worked up about role players, and certainly spacing matters, and Duncan Robinson's certainly going to benefit from playing with Cade, with the gravity, and he's going to get those open threes, and so his percentage could even be even better this next year. He shot, let's look at his stats. He scored 11 points. He played 74 games. 24 minutes a game last year, shot 44% from the field and 39% on threes. Again, he doesn't just shoot open, catch and shoot wide open looks. He shot 89% from the free throw line. He is just a great shooter. And yeah, we'll see how it works, how he gets incorporated in the lineup, how many minutes he plays. We got Karis LeVert. He had a good year. He had his best year last year, but his shooting percentages, most of his career, have been mediocre at best. A lot of it was because he took bad shots. Another thing I want to say about LeVert is we wouldn't have traded for him. So JB had him at Cleveland for multiple years, and so JB knows what he's like, and JB wouldn't have okayed the trade. I'm sure there was lots of discussions if he didn't think that he could be an effective player for us. So again, I'm just bummed out. Alexander Walker, he got signed for 4 years, $62 million, so it was not that much money. Everybody thought he was going to get all this paid money, and so there's a lot of guys. Gary Harris just got signed with Denver, but the other big story is Tim Hardaway Jr. took the minimum. He took the minimum $2 million, $2.3 million or something a year, $2.2 million. So did Bruce Brown, got the minimum. I don't know why we didn't try to sign those guys. That would have been cool to get Bruce Brown. He does a lot of stuff. But Hardaway, I just didn't see. My concern about him, I mentioned it in past podcasts, is that he didn't rebound, he didn't pass, didn't get assists. He's a subpar defender, and he took bad shots. His percentages weren't that good, and so I don't think it was bad to lose him. He was a great team player, great in the locker room, great effort, and I think he helped us. He helped elevate us, just like Beasley did. And of course, the Beasley loss is just tremendous. It's just heartbreaking that there's a chance he could be back. He might get found innocent. They're investigating him, but obviously there was games in January of 2024 where there was all of a sudden huge money being bet on how many rebounds Malik Beasley was going to get in the game. So I think it was his over under was 2.4, and he ended up getting 6. And so I don't know, that just all seems weird to me. But there are other players that Terry Rozier for the Hornets, he got investigated, and it was a big thing, but he got cleared. So Beasley could, then possibly we could try to re-sign him for a minimum, and then for 1 year, and then we could keep him and give him more money the next year. But we got Duncan Robinson's 3 years. I haven't seen any details that said anything but that they were all guaranteed. But I was surprised at that. He's 31 years old, but maybe that's what it took to sign him. So we don't know what agents do and say, and what the offers are and what our options are. So that it's just really hard to see. I just get confused though about things. I don't know how Gary Trent Jr. got signed for under $4 million a year. I'd rather have him than Robinson. He had a great year last year, and he took the minimum the year before, and so that just really surprised me. Ty Jerome can shot the lights out this last year. We couldn't stop him from getting, the Pistons couldn't stop him from getting to the rim. He could shoot threes really well. 3 years, $28 million. So he got paid less than Duncan Robinson, and I think most people would think that he was a better player last year than Duncan Robinson. And Duncan Robinson got 3 years, $48 million. So he got 20 more million. He got almost 7 more million a year. And I don't know how things work, and I don't know what, I'm not in the room with him. I would love to know more details, but yeah. And we lost Schroder. There was all this speculation that we were going to do a sign and trade with the Kings and get Malik Monk. There was all this talk about it, and I'm sure it was in discussion that we were going to sign and trade Dennis Schroder for Malik Monk. But the Kings were able to trade Valanciunas for Dario Saric, and that ended up just clearing enough space so then they could pay Schroder what they wanted to pay without having to have the Pistons involved in doing the sign and trade. So surprising, Jakob Poeltl signed with Toronto, 4 years, $104 million. That just seems way too high. And you just consider what Miles Turner goes to the Bucks. I thought it was a joke. I thought there's no way that the Pacers are going to let him go. And they even had said during the playoffs that they were going to be willing to go over the salary cap, which they had never done before. And so, yeah, I didn't know what was going to happen with that. So I'm glad I got this. Duncan Robinson's contract is partially guaranteed. So let me see if I can get more of that. I was wondering about that. That just would surprise me if it was all guaranteed. Year 2 for Duncan Robinson is partially guaranteed, non-guaranteed 3 years. So that makes sense. Good job, Trajan. So we got to pay him partially for the full money first year, which is cool. Partial second year, third year, non-guaranteed. So that, when I just said that, I just came across that, was just tweeted out just a second ago. So that's good to hear. But he is a shooter. But now, where am I at? Where was I at? The last thing. Jakob Poeltl was getting paid all that money. That's surprising. But yeah, there's a lot of things. Oh, Miles Turner. That's right. Sorry about that. I'm old. Miles Turner signed for not that much. He got signed for like under 25 million a year to play for the Bucks. Everybody thought that it was going to take 30 million a year to get him, but I guess the Pacers lowballed him. So can you imagine being a Pacers fan? The emotion, they were on the highest of highs. They had this underdog team that was playing so great. They looked so good. They looked like they were the real deal. I'm sure if everybody would have been back and Halliburton would have got hurt and they would have re-signed Turner, they would have been the favorites in the East. But now, or maybe Cleveland would have been, but now they go from that high, their fans, to Halliburton getting hurt, being out for the year, and losing Miles Turner. He'd been there 10 years. He's only 29 years old, and he didn't get signed for that much money. And everybody thought it would take like 30 million a year to get him. So did I. And so I guess that's a good sign that that Duran might have to take less money. So anyway, that it just is just surprising what happens in the league, and that they were able the Bucks bought out Damian Lillard's contract and spread it out. Now Damian Lillard can sit out next year because he's got that Achilles injury, which takes a year to heal, and then he can sign with anybody. He'll get paid his 50 million, and he can go play for the minimum and go jump on whatever team he wants. He's unrestricted free agent. So, yeah, lots of craziness happened in the league. I also forgot to mention this. Shout out to the WNBA. I hope it's the Detroit Shock. So I saw something where it said they were hadn't decided on the name of the team. If they don't name them the Shock, the WNBA team, I will die. They won championships in Detroit. Detroit embraced the Detroit Shock. And that's what they should be called. I'm not usually make a big deal about things like that, but in this case, it is a huge deal. They should be called the Shock. The inaugural season in 1998, I had season tickets to see them, and I'd go down, and I had my best friend who passed away, unfortunately, but he had courtside seats right at center court, right front row, and so he would get into it with all the refs and the players, and it was really cool. So anyway, lots of happening, like I said, and we'll see what happens with Duncan Robinson. I think it is a decent pickup, especially now knowing what his contract actually is. LeVert's only signed for 2 years, and he's hard to stop. My feeling was, and I guess his defense has got better. He's taller. He's 6'6", so he's got good length. He's got a good arm span. I think his defense has improved from what I've been listening to recently, just in the last day since we signed him. And so, and again, Duncan Robinson, 6'7", so that's a lot bigger than Beasley. We don't have too many 6'7" guys, even though he's not really a great matchup for guys, but he does give us a little bit more size. So yeah, so it's been, overall a little disappointing. Like again, Jake LaRavia got signed 2 years, 12 million. And he's 23 years old, and he's 6'8", and he plays good defense, good passer. So, but the thing about I'm guilty of in life is thinking about what could have been, but I'm going to go back to what I said. We got Cade Cunningham, Asar, Ivy, Duran, Stu, Holland, and they're young players who are going to get nothing but better. We got Tobias coming back, who's a great vet and good, solid player. And I know that Duncan Robinson's a great guy. And I don't know that much about LeVert, but they are both played at University of Michigan for my friend John Beeline. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to be excited to get to talk to him pretty soon. But yeah, we could have got that speculation we were going to get Malik Monk. Oh yeah, so Miles Turner, I'm jumping all over the place because so much has happened. Miles Turner was 4 years, 107 million. So that's crazy to think about. That's 27 million a year, so that's or less than 27 million a year. Yeah, the Pacers lowballed him, and it just is shocking that they had this great thing going, and sure everybody was bummed out about Halliburton, but they still got all these, and they still got a bunch of good players, but you can't. The centers aren't that easy to replace. They just aren't. They used to be, but now the Lakers can't even get one. So I just want to say this. I shouldn't even waste your time, but I still get so tired of all the talk and all the coverage on the Lakers and how come they don't get a center, but it's like the biggest news story, and they're just an average team in the West, and they have LeBron, but anyway, I'm not going to waste any more of your time for that. But so Schroeder's getting 3 million and 3 years, 45 million. So he's getting 15 million a year. So he's getting the same money per year that that Nikhil Alexander Walker's getting, and it's about the same that Levert is getting. He's getting 15 million a year, basically 2 years, 29 million. So yeah, who can understand exactly what goes on and how different people get evaluated and how and Chajin talked about this in his interview about agents. And so you're dealing with agents, and like you said, what happens? I thought that would happen. I wouldn't have been shocked if Tim Hardaway Jr. wouldn't have had a team to play on, but he did, because Denver did a good job. Denver made some good moves. Again, it kills me how great Atlanta did in the offseason. They just got more and more good players, and they got that really high, probably top draft pick for next year. They're going to probably get a top 5 pick next year. They got in a trade. So I just am frustrated about that. Houston just is killing it in the offseason. They got Clint Capella for their number 3 center. And anyway, they've got a lot of good contracts that they've signed guys to. And I'll quit rambling. I just wanted to jump on and tell you about Duncan Robinson. And like I said, JB coached him. We got 2 Michigan guys coming home. We got the Detroit Shock coming back in 2029. I didn't mention that. We won't have a team until 2029. But we'll see what happens. I'm still excited about our upcoming season. I still think we do have options, that JB will have options with Robinson, and Levert will be able to play. My big concern is he does like to play veterans, and so I don't want him to. I'd rather see Asar and Holland play more, and than to see Duncan and Robinson and Karis Levert play a lot. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I don't know if there's many more moves that we can make. I don't think we have much more money to mess around with. That Fontecchio trading, having that chip to play was, one of our only assets we could use in a deal. So, but thank you for listening. Stay positive. It's going to be challenging, but it's going to be a fun season next season. And I will jump on whenever there's anything prevalent that's important for Piston fans. But thank you. I care so much that you take your time to listen. Be the reason that somebody feels loved, and go Pistons.